Hi, it's Ethan Skolnick for the Five on the Floor podcast. Before we get to today's episode, I want to tell you about a great sponsor of the podcast and the network, and that is Magic City Casino. You got to check out Magic City, but also check out The High. That's J-A-I. If you've ever watched Highlight, you know how fast the sport it is, how much fun it is to bet on. Well, what they've basically done is made it even more fun. Not only can you sit there and watch Highlight, but it's also a nightclub every Friday and Saturday night. So go check it out at Magic City Casino. They got a full bar, they got a full restaurant. And in addition to that, they've got all kinds of indoor lawn games and all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. You can watch the Canes games or the basketball games, whatever it is you want to do in addition to the highlights. So go check out The High. That's Magic City Casino. It's a Miami tradition. And from there, you can go to Wynwood, you can go to South Beach. It ends early enough in the night that you can still do everything else you want to do in South Florida. So check out The High. Now, today's episode is a little bit different. We decided to patch a couple of things together and want to apologize in advance that the audio is not exactly perfect. We may have some situations where things break in a little bit in the middle, but we wanted to get you this because we thought it was topical. It's two parts. I'm going to be with Alejandro Villegas. I was actually up at Miami Heat training camp the first day at Kaiser University on Tuesday, so it's a full report that I did on 305 Live. We want you to hear it. It's about 10 minutes long, and then after that, we're going to play an interview that we did on Media Day with James Johnson. Of course, James Johnson today, we found out, did not pass his conditioning test, which surprised us quite a bit after we did this interview with him. So we thought it was topical enough to play it, even though, like I said, we had some audio issues. So bear with us. Audio will be better on the next one, but wanted you to catch this on the latest Five on the Floor. And now, the episode.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a Miami Heat and NBA podcast from Ethan Skolnick with Alphonse Sidney, a.k.a. Alf954. Brought to you by the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Alejandro Villegas with Ethan Skolnick, who is in Westbound right now. The Miami Heat, first day of Heat camp, of course, there at Kaiser University. And Ethan was very excited. We almost saw him running in the conditioning with the Miami Heat guys. I know you all are waiting for more information on the Miami Heat since the other teams just are not as good. So let's talk to Ethan a little bit. Ethan, how are you? How was that first day of camp?
I'm good. Well, for me, it was a little bit exhausting. No, it was fine. Actually, you hear some bouncing in the background.
Yes.
The guys decided to come in and use the gym after the Heat left. So they just finished up. We just had media availability. The only 2 players that didn't participate today, one of them was expected, which was Kelly Olynyk, still getting over that knee injury. Probably going to be a couple of weeks at the very least before we see him. But also James Johnson. That one was a bit of a surprise. You know, I sat down with James Johnson for a podcast yesterday, talked about how well conditioned he was, and today he apparently, was informed that he'd failed the conditioning test. So I don't think that it's a long-term thing here. I was told he's not being fined, he's not being suspended. This isn't like what would happen with Antoine Walker or James Posey 13 years ago. But it is a little bit disappointing. James was coming off of, a situation where he didn't play very well last year. He talked to us about that yesterday. He had problems with his conditioning. We thought he was in shape. Apparently he's not. And, again, for a guy who's making $30 million plus over the next 2 years of his contract, they need to get something out of him. So not a great start, but I'd expect him up here in the next couple of days.
Okay. And what else? Because I saw you talking to Justice Winslow, talking about using both hands maybe. What was it, what he said about it?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's been something I've been watching on his workout videos and also when he's been doing kind of the pro-ams, is that I've noticed him using both hands, the right hand, a little bit more, and so I think it's important for him. If he's going to play point guard, teams are going to overplay him. He's got to be able to go both directions. And his answer to me was, he's like, I dare them to overplay me. I want you to force me right. He's a confident guy. He's expressed that all offseason. He wants to be the point guard, but you have to be able to do that in this league. You got to be able to go both ways. You got to be able to finish with both hands. We saw him do that a little bit better last year, but you have to be able to use both hands. And he did say that was an emphasis. I saw him working on it a little bit today, and that's why I asked him about it. The other thing that I asked as far as a technical basketball question was Dion Waiters. I got a little bit of time alone with Dion after.
He's in shape.
Yeah, right. He is in shape. I will say that. He is in great shape, and he's in great spirits, and he's only got 2 years left on that deal. So this is all positive for him. But the thing about the end of last year, when he came back, he was jacking up a ton of threes. Now, it wasn't a huge problem because he was making a decent percentage, about 36, 37%, but that's not really what they need from him, to be shooting 11 to 13 times per game from three. They need three-point spacers, but if he's going to be doing that, it's going to be sort of slowing up the offense and taking them out of what they want to do. So I asked him, I said, are you going to sort of get back to more of a mix this year? He says he would. He says it's just what teams were giving him last year. Now, I would expect them to give him that even more if he shows the ability to get to the basket again. So not enough free throws last year. He told me he's healthy. He thinks he can get to the rim more often. And again, if he can, he gives this team a different dimension than they had last season, and he'll be a good complement to Butler. But it can't just be all threes. Third person I got a chance to talk to alone a little bit today, and this will be on a podcast, was Goran Dragic. Very simple question for Goran. Can you still play at an all-star level? He says yes. He still believes he can.
Well, he can't say otherwise, right?
Well, he can't say otherwise. You're right, but it's the way he's saying it. I think, I asked him, I said, after last season, it's really the first season he's missed that much time with injury.
Yeah.
After last season, does this one feel a little bit different? What did you work on this summer? He said it was just all about getting healthy. That's all that really mattered to Goran this offseason was getting healthy. But he feels if he's healthy, he can still do a lot of the things that he used to do. So this is the most interesting battle on this team. How do the guard positions play out? Jimmy's likely going to start at the three. Who are going to be the two guards? Is it going to be Goran and Justice, who don't really fit that well together? Is it going to be Goran and Dion? I don't think it can be, because I don't think at this point you can put Justice Winslow on the bench and expect him to develop.
No.
Is it going to be Dion and Justice? That's probably the most likely until Tyler Herro is ready. But if they're going to do that, Alejandro, does Goran accept a role that I think is perfect for him, a six-man role? Get back to what he did early in his career. I think he could be a six-man of the year candidate in 23 to 26 minutes a game. Dwayne Wade did it. Will Goran agree to do it? I think that's a
he should. Now, if you compare it that way, he should. Now, if you play both Waiters and Justice Winslow at the same time, you're not worried. Maybe Waiters taking too much time with the ball or too many shots.
Oh, I'm worried. I'm more worried about Dion than I am about Jimmy. Jimmy's not that high usage a player. For a superstar. In fact, I asked Spo about that yesterday. He's really not. He doesn't have one of those high 20s usage rates. He's a playmaker as much as he is. But Dion, we know, can be a playmaker, but Dion likes to shoot. And what you don't want on this team, it's not so much Justice getting shots that I'm worried about. It's the ball not being in Justice's hands and him standing in the corner. I don't want to see, I don't think Heat fans want to see Justice Winslow, even though he's 38% from three, I don't think they want to see Justice Winslow standing in the corner as a spot-up shooter. He needs to be a playmaker this year. He's a good passer. He's been seeing the floor better. These are good problems to have. They have options, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Talking about a playmaker, today you've got to see the first time of Jimmy Butler finally open to the public. How was his first day of camp?
Well, it wasn't that open to the public. We got to see basically one shot, which was Myers Leonard draining a shot from three like his wife Elwood, and that was basically
both hands.
And then we saw conditioning, and I think this was purposeful. In front of the media, the three guys running were UD, Jimmy, and Dion on the side. I think that's purposeful. I think UD is making a point with Dion right now. I think they both are. But also, when they just ran the suicide sprints, the guy who was beating everybody else, Tyler Herro. In fact, not only was he beating everybody else, he was looking back to see who was behind him.
Okay, so it's safe to say that he's the fastest guy on the team?
He's fast for a white dude, I'll say that.
What?
But I think what's safe to say, Alejandro, is he is I think he has bought in. Let's just put it that way. Like, I think he's trying to.
You're talking about culture, even though you don't want to say it. Let's say attitude. Let's say attitude. He has the right.
I've said it 12 times today. I'm not saying.
He has the right attitude to fit with this group.
With this group, no culture. No culture.
Okay, what else of the culture or of the attitude you saw today there?
Well, I mean, I just think Jimmy is really acclimating well. I noticed on the side that, when what we got to see, that Pat pulled Jimmy aside and they were speaking for 5 or 6 minutes. And that's significant to me. And the reason it's significant to me is because I felt that one of the things that always frustrated Pat during the Big Three era was he didn't have a lot of those conversations with LeBron. I don't feel that the relationship that Pat developed with Zoe, with Patrick Ewing, with Magic as a coach, and then Dwayne to a degree as a coach, and then as a president, it never really happened with LeBron the way that I think Pat wanted it to. I think Pat looked at it, and LeBron was his crowning achievement in terms of who he brought in. And LeBron was open to it, but I always remember the question. I remember asking Pat at the end about LeBron. Well, this is when actually he made the comment that sort of drove LeBron off, the get a grip and all the rest of this. And he said that he and LeBron had a texting relationship. I think he wants more than a texting relationship with Jimmy. And Jimmy's buying into it. Jimmy was up at 3:30 in the morning today. He's looking for a paddleball court to beat somebody's ass up here in West Palm Beach. And I just think he's embracing it. I think he speaks the same language as Spo. We've had that conversation. So I think that's very positive. So to me, that would be my final takeaway from today is just, that Jimmy, I think, is into it. And I think guys are taking his lead. And the other thing is obviously James Johnson needs to get in shape. Like we had a nice conversation with him yesterday, but you're one of the highest paid guys on the team, and you're a vet, and you got to be in shape. And injury aside or not, excuse or not, the Heat made a point of this. The Heat could have not told us. Okay, they do that with a lot of stuff. They could have not told us,
but they do.
They told us before practice opened.
Yeah.
So what do you think that is? I think it's a message.
Yeah.
I think it's a message. I think this is going to be, I think this is going to be a very different situation with this team. I don't think they're taking any shit, basically.
Alex Toledo has a question here. He kept talking about his explosiveness being back. That was yesterday at the media day. How did he look today? Well,
we didn't see much. If Alex is talking about Dion, Alex, be explicit. If Alex is talking about a lot of deals. If Alex is talking about Dion, he looked good to me in what I saw, but again, we didn't see a lot. We saw a couple plays. That's all about what they're going to give us. We saw them running up and down the floor. We got to see what's always interesting to me after these practices is interaction. Who is communicating with who?
He says JJ, but JJ is not in shape, so he didn't practice today, right?
He's not here, Alex. So yeah, to me, it's about, who's interacting with who's taking who under their wing, who's putting in the extra work, and all that kind of stuff. And, the whole Heat Brain Trust was basically here. Andy was here, Nick was here. I didn't see Nicky, but Pat was here, Adam Simon was here. So they're all here, and they're going to be here all week, and they're staying over at a very nice hotel. I'm not going to mention which, but very nice hotel in the Palm Beach area, which I might go get a drink at later. But
well, you have to do the challenge. You put it on the 5 Reasons Twitter. Drink every time Justin Winslow says culture. So you're gonna have to do it.
I'm just gonna drink every time that I say culture. That's all. That's it.
All right. What's the rest of the schedule for the week so people know where to expect content from you?
Yeah, I will not be up here tomorrow, I don't believe. Daughter's furniture is arriving. That takes precedence. So I missed it the other day. I will not be here today, but we will have people here. I'm not sure exactly who, but we've got a collection of people, whether it's Zach Buckley or Chris Maddox may make it, Alphonse Sidney, Alex Toledo. I don't know if you guys coming up, or is that the plan?
It's hard. We have to work in the mornings here in Miami.
Yeah, I know, and it's like it's like a different country for you guys down in Miami. That's fun.
Yeah.
Like for me from Lauderdale, it's not so bad. But yeah, I'll be up here. I'll be at practice Thursday, Friday, and I'll be at the scrimmage on Saturday. Check out at 5 Reasons Sports at Ethan J. Skolnick. 5reasonsports.com. Got a new column about Eric Spoelstra. We got a bunch of podcasts going up. We had
5 on the floor.
5 on the floor. We had some audio difficulties yesterday, but we are patching that stuff together. So you'll hear from Myers Leonard, also likely from Derek Jones Jr., probably not James Johnson now. That one we might have to shelve.
Well, because he lied to you guys.
Casey,
he says, no, I'm fine.
He certainly didn't tell the whole truth.
Okay.
So there you go. But thanks, Alejandro. Appreciate you doing it. I think they're going to kick my ass out.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Bye.
We'll get back to our episode here in a second, but one thing that you know, if you followed me, is that I'm old. I've been doing this since 1996. That was my first year covering the Miami Heat. When you get old, you get out of shape, and that's what was happening to me. It wasn't enough for me just to go to the gym because all I'll do there is exercise my Twitter fingers. I needed someone to push me a little bit. I reached out to Jose from Evolution of Fitness, and you should too. It's not just a workout for you there. It's like a total nutrition program and everything else, and as someone who used to drink 6 Coca-Colas a day, I definitely need that. So reach out to Jose. I'm not posting workout selfies. I will just tell you I look and feel better than I did a few months ago. Give him a call at 754-423-1153. That's 754-423-1153. Reach out to Jose, Evolution of Fitness. Make sure you mention Ethan or 5 Reasons so he knows where you came from, and maybe he'll take it easy on you, but probably not.
Those kind of doses where we knew in a game, whether it was you and Tyler coming off the bench or whatever, that you were going to be handling, you were going to be playmaking for people. This is a little bit of a different team. You still got more on. Justice took more of a ball handling role last year. Jimmy has the ball in his hands from time to time. You can run the dribble handoff stuff through Kelly. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you can do that stuff with. What is a good percentage for you of you playing off the ball, playing on the ball, making plays for other people? How does that usually work for you?
You just can't just sit back and play the game and, wanting to make plays for others. If the ball's in KO's hand, I know he can make plays for myself and others as well. So for me, it's more moving without the ball, finding different ways to score, even dirt work, getting rebounds, playing crazy defense, playing the best player on defense, just finding the gaps in the game and trying to close those up so we can win.
I feel like this team, and I asked Eric the same question, I look at each of you guys, in addition to having a team motivation, there seem to be a lot of individual motivations, and those aren't a bad thing. Guys have different reasons. Not a lot of high drafted guys on this team. A lot of guys who maybe there's some doubt with you and Dion coming off the injuries, a couple of rookies who have to prove themselves, some undrafted guys on this team. How do you, even Jimmy was the 30th pick of the draft, was not heavily recruited, to college. How do you guys channel that stuff together and make it work as a team?
We're here now. It don't matter what your journey was before you got here, you're here now, and you got to buy into this culture. I feel like we don't take anything personal and just compete. There's going to be some trash talking, there's going to be guys want your spot, things like that. You got to fight for that here, and I think that's what makes our team who it is. It don't matter what your paycheck looking like, it's what your practice is looking like, what your game performance is looking like.
I feel like with Jimmy, Eric talked about that with fit with him, that there are some organizations that may not want what Jimmy brings because guys can't handle it. When you go at a player, it's just not. Here, that seems to be encouraging. Are you going to get it? You want to get it back to him a little bit, right? You want to, when you're on a practice court?
If he's messing up, you can dish it and you can get it. And I'm not scared of anybody, so if I feel a way about something that's going on with the game or your game or the locker room, then I'm going to speak up on it. Other than that, like I said, we're not going to take nothing personally. It's all business.
You're one of the players, we fell in love with the group when you first got here. A bunch of guys who were scrappy, and everybody was like, you know what, let's give this group one more chance. And so I think a lot of the fans feel close to you, because we kind of watched you here for a while. How do you feel about your relationship to Miami, to the fans? Because you've been to a couple places now, but I
love it here. Like I said, bought a house is somewhere I want to raise the family. Ever since I came to Miami, I've been welcomed with warmth, and I understand the frustration and the stress level you guys have for me, and how I can be stressed at towards you guys as well, or the fans or Miami period. But like I said, it's all love, and I love it here, and we're just gonna keep working.
Gotcha.
When you look at the core of this team, you've got some veteran guys, but you've also got some young guys. And we had Chris Bosh on the podcast, and one of the things he said was about the young guys on this team, and at the time it was Jay Rich too, whether it was Bam or DJJ or Justice, Wayne's not here anymore. And he's like, you guys, you got to take it in terms of a leadership role. Can you, I know having UD still on the roster here with you, but having some of the vets who've been through some things and seen it and took a leadership role, had a captaincy, all the rest of that, how do you bring that out in guys like Justice and Bam and DJJ when maybe it's not their natural character to kind of be out front, but how do you get them to be there.
That's just something that you have to have. I don't think you can force someone to be a leader if they don't have it in them. Other ways is like Derrick Rose, man. That man used to lead by example. He didn't say too many words, but he brought it every day in practice. He brought it every day in the games, and you could just tell that he wanted to win. Sometimes when you lead, you don't have to say as much. I just think this year though is I'm falling back off all that, and I'm doing more of the leading by example and just playing hard and things like that, and giving it to the young guys like Bam, J-Dub. If they want that, then go get it. Don't be afraid to try to lead this team, especially with Justice handling the ball as much as he's going to be handling, or running the one as much as he wants to run the one. And usually the one is the guy who really has to stir this team up.
The East is in transition. You just had a team won a championship, but they lost one of the 3 best players in the league. Is no longer there anymore. Philly looks different. Milwaukee made some changes behind Giannis, but Indiana doesn't have Oladipo at the beginning of the year. Boston made changes. When you look at the landscape of the conference, what are the goals here?
I think the goal is what it always is. We want to win, and winning the conference is a big step. And getting in the playoffs for us as not the same team, but not someone in a different team, it is a big step. But I feel with Jimmy added, the playoffs should be no question. Healthy Dion, healthy me, it should be no question. And just winning, I don't think Philly is lacking. I don't think Indiana's lacking that much without Oladipo, and I know Milwaukee has the MVP. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a dogfight every night. But I really do love our chances.
How hard was it for you as you're going through the injuries? Something that you don't like to talk about, but you're hearing the noise about yourself and your performance. How hard was it for you to bite your tongue? I knew what I was going through. I knew it. So the outsiders, everybody else that had opinions or they thought what was going on with me, that's just hearsay, she says me. It wasn't the truth. And so when something's not the truth, I really don't try to waste my energy on things like that. But so many people tell you who you are and what you are that you don't ever sit back and ask yourself some questions. And I think that's what I did this whole season. I just sat back and asked myself who I am. And like I said, my mental this off season is at 100, and I'm ready for the training camp.
Last question. You still doing the MMA stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
It's just part of the whole training regimen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now I'm at the KO Fitness. I've been working on the hands.
Oh, yeah?
Just boxing. So it's a whole different vibe, a whole different workout. And
you know the whole league is scared of you, right?
Nah. They should be scared of UD. He's crazy. At least I'm sane.
Because your name gets brought up when they talk about toughest guys in the league. Your name is always either the first or second brought up. Usually UD's the other one.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm sane. UD's definitely number one.